Hello everyone, welcome to New Gen Politics. The U.S. Supreme Court will be reviewing an appeals court ruling that officials in cities across the West say bar them from removing unhoused people from public spaces when there are no shelter beds available. On Friday, the Supreme Court agreed to hear an appeal from the city of Grants Pass in Southwest Oregon, where in 2022, a three-judge Ninth Circuit of Appeals panel ruled that the city could not enforce its anti-camping ordinance that barred people from using any sort of shelter or bedding equipment on public property. This ruling was partially based on the 2018 decision in Martin v. Boies, a case that ended with the Ninth Circuit of Appeals deciding that pushing people from city sidewalks and clearing homeless encampments without offering shelter violates the U.S. Constitution's cruel and unusual punishment clause. I think this is good news. I think this is a good step to clearing up these cities, because if you've seen the footage, these homeless cities are disastrous. People are doing drugs everywhere openly having sex. There's rampant crime. There's rampant feces. It's really a dystopian nightmare. And these cities are not allowed to do anything about it because they're saying it violates the U.S. Constitution's cruel and unusual punishment clause. It's not cruel and unusual. If you are sleeping on a public sidewalk and they tell you to leave, you can't do that. That's not cruel and unusual. And them saying that there's not enough shelters for the homeless. Well, that is true, but the problem of the homeless crisis is rising, and you can't just keep making endless shelters. What you need to do is actually solve the problem. So I think this is a good move by the Supreme Court. I think these homeless encampments need to be uprooted. They're causing so much crime, illness, drug use, tons of horrible other things that are happening in public view on public property. And they're making these cities incredibly unsafe and incredibly disgusting in reality. I'm sure you've seen photos of these homeless encampments or videos. It's a nightmare. And these governments have been enabling these people to do this by not being allowed to remove them, or in some cases, not even wanting to remove them. But this would give the opportunities to those cities that want to take action, clean up their cities, and remove the homeless from openly defecating and using drugs on public property, which is a problem that really should never happen in America. But here we are, and it's happening more and more. The homeless crisis is increasing. And so on the other side, people are saying it's not kind to remove these people without shelters. It is true that there are not enough spaces and shelters because there's too many homeless now. But enabling them to live in this horrible makeshift environment that is hazardous to themselves and to the residents around them, that's not kindness. That's destructive. That's self-destructive as a country, as a city, as a state. That's a policy that can't be allowed to take root, enabling horribly self-destructive behavior and behavior that destroys communities and affects those around you. And then later down this article, they say that on the other side of this issue, people are complaining about the cost of living. Yeah, it's true. The cost of living is ridiculous in some of these states, especially the West Coast states. The rent is out of control and a lot of people can't afford it. But that is not an excuse to enable people to set up homeless encampments that sprawl out their entire cities. And it's never good to handcuff law enforcement when they're trying to make things safer and cleaner and better. And that's what these governments are doing. To be benevolent to a group of people, they're sacrificing the health and safety and well-being of another group of people. And that other group of people is the hardworking people of these states. The people who open small businesses, the people who have to get to work, the people who'd like to use public parks for their intended purpose. You're sacrificing the health, safety, and well-being of those people so you can be benevolent to people who are shooting up on the street and openly defecating. So we'll hear what the Supreme Court has to say about this on Friday. I hope that they rule in favor of cities being allowed to remove homeless encampments. I think they probably will. But it's just crazy that we have to have these conversations now, that this has to go all the way to the Supreme Court to be solved. It's frankly just another illustration of how much this country is dilapidating and how vast and serious the problems we face are. So let me know, what do you think? Do you think the Supreme Court should rule in favor of the cities being allowed to remove the homeless? Do you think the homeless shouldn't be removed from public property? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.